guys, it's Kennedy Lauren, and this is Therapy Fridays. It's a safe space for you to unwind, unpack, and pretty much just feel seen as you grow. So today we have with me my bestie, Scarlett, and she is a corporate baddie amongst many other things. She is a TikTok creator, as known as Oh My Leto. She is a published author in the book Today's Inspire Young Latina. She's a digital marketing specialist, and she just does so many great things, which is one of the reasons why I wanted her to have her on today. She's passionate about a lot of things. She has inspired me with a lot of things, which is one of the reasons why we're even here today. So I just want to say, before we even get started, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. So excited for this.
Yes, I'm very excited. So today we're pretty much going to talk about what Therapy Fridays is, what it means to us. We're going to talk about obedience. We're going to talk about faith and just seasons of frustration, because your girl was going through it a little bit. So
I think we all do sometimes.
Yeah, we all definitely have our seasons, but I think this season has definitely taught me a lot. So I'm just really excited to share what's been going on behind the scenes and just putting everything on display. I'm really excited to put myself out there. So yes, we're gonna get into what Therapy Fridays really means to us. I love Therapy Fridays.
Yes, we love Therapy Fridays. We came up with Therapy Fridays during the pandemic, when we both had therapy on Thursdays, and then we would meet up for Mexican food on Fridays, our favorite, and we would basically unpack our therapy sessions and just have really good conversations.
Yeah, we have really good conversations, and I think it's so funny because I think that we're always just talking and having conversations. We're always sharing the mic. We always got the mic. And I think one day we were just talking about having a podcast, and we're like, okay, well, what's the name? And I think one day randomly you're like, Therapy Fridays. I said, she's a genius. My bestie, a genius.
Yeah, it was just natural because we were having literally such good conversations.
Yeah.
It's like, someone else needs to hear this. And I know a lot of people might say that, and that's why they start a podcast, but no, really.
No, this serious. Yeah, exactly. So I think that Therapy Friday pretty much just stems from, just having one of those close friends that you really feel that you can talk to, that you can connect with, and like you can be vulnerable with them, and you can just really like share your intimate thoughts with them and like feel seen. I feel like what were you gonna say?
I feel like so many times, like, you're having conversations with your friends, like, so often, like, hey, what are you doing? What's, like, your schedule today? Kind of like surface level conversations, but these conversations on Therapy Fridays were just, like, really unpacking, like, how are you feeling? What do you think about this? Just really checking in with ourselves versus just, like, the day-to-day.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like you've done, like, a really good job with like helping me, like in general, like of course, like feel seen, and even like learning how to express myself. Like I know that one book that you recommended to me, Untamed. Like
Untamed.
That's my girl.
Highly recommend.
Every woman needs to read Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Like I wish I had the book with me. Like I know you got it somewhere, but it's okay.
I gave it away to somebody, and I haven't gotten it back.
I gave it away to somebody too, but they ended up giving me back after I hunted them down, but whatever. Every woman, though, needs to read Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Like, it's a must-read, like, literally. And I feel like that book really just taught me a lot about myself.
Like womanhood.
Exactly, about womanhood and just about, like, really standing in your truth and standing in your power, which I feel like is not cliche, but I feel like we know that. But I feel like, do we really know how to stand in your truth or like stand in your womanhood, So I feel like that's just where Therapy Fridays just came from. So I'm really excited that we're here because it took a lot to get here. We're 3 years.
It's been like 3 years.
We're 3 years post the idea.
And lots of ideation sessions. But I'm so proud that you are doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
And then you're going through with it, because I think you're going to run into so many more opportunities and just get to know yourself even better through this process. And help other people.
Yeah. Thank you. Speaking of helping other people, in one of my therapy sessions, probably about 4 months ago now, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Time runs fast, so who knows. I was talking to my therapist, and like I was just going through like, you know, my work struggles and stuff like that, and I was just really frustrated with work and like the things that was going on. And my therapist was like, she's like a really like, let's slow down and like let's figure out why you feel like this and like what's really going on, because she's like, at one point like you really enjoyed this, and I'm like, I did, so like what's different now? So we did an ikigai, and it pretty much
like the Venn diagram,
yeah, type thing, yeah, and it pretty much just like asks you different questions to kind of help you figure out like what's your purpose. It's like, okay, like what are you good at, like what are you passionate about, just different questions like that. And like as we were like filling in the questions, it was like what we came up with compared to where I was career wise, it was like this
wasn't matching.
It wasn't matching,
which is common.
Yes.
Like I don't even think I've done that, and if I probably entered that information in and looked at what I'm currently doing, it aligns, but probably not too much.
Really? You think so?
I don't know. I've never done it.
You should do that.
Yeah, I need to do that.
You
practice.
Yeah, we should. You should. I don't know. I feel like for you though, like I feel like you're like on the right path though.
True. I mean, I could be more intentional about it though.
Okay, I think that's fair though. Because I feel like just knowing you and what you're passionate about, I feel like you're doing that and like you're on the right path.
Oh,
do I feel like you could? Of course. Do I feel like you could maybe like get specific or hone in on something specific?
Yes.
Yeah, I really want to see you on TikTok. Breaking down some Bible stories one day.
Ooh.
They don't know that part of you.
They don't know.
They don't know.
It's such a personal thing, but even talking like on this podcast helps me unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I keep that just so private.
Yeah, that's true. Because I don't think, I feel like you're a private person in general. Like, I feel like you share. Like, she's a content creator, y'all. You can go on TikTok. You can look at Oh My Leto. And I feel like you share a lot, but at the same time, like, someone has to know you. Like,
true. Knowing me and seeing me online is, like, different.
Yeah. So, yeah. But, I mean, yeah.
But, so you were talking to your therapist.
Boom. So, yeah, we were talking about the ikigai, all that good stuff. And it was just, like, we were, like, not, it just wasn't aligning. And it made sense in the sense of, like, I'm not happy right now. And
your job was making you unhappy.
Yeah, like, I keep running into walls. Like, I just found myself, like, I'm the type of person, I feel like I was reading, my therapist had recommended a book. I can't think of what book it was. She recommended me a book, and when I was reading, I opened it up randomly one day, and it was talking about how a burden was once a blessing.
Oh.
And how to, like, slow down.
Yeah.
And, like, what made that blessing feel like more of a burden. And I was like, you know what, this is a good perspective. Let me slow down. Let me be grateful. Like, let me change.
Change your perspective.
Yeah, like right, exactly. I'm like, let me change my perspective. And I'm like, okay, cool, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going with, and I'm trying to figure out, like, different ways to, like, make this work or make the environment, like, better.
Yes.
Like, I'm listening to different leadership podcasts. Like, I'm trying to, like, bring in, breakfast and stuff like that for my staff. Like, I'm trying, like, to, like, really make an environment that I wouldn't be upset about working in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create a culture, I guess you could say. And it just wasn't working. I just kept hitting a wall, and I feel like it was started to just really affect me, like, on my day-to-day. Like, I found myself being very, like, I feel like I keep saying frustrated, or I want to keep saying frustrated, but it's like, when you're just trying to, I almost said the L word. I'm not going to say it. But, I don't know, I just feel like I kept hitting a wall. Like, every single day, like, felt different, and I had to be super duper intentional about, like.
That's such, like, emotional labor, like you just said. You were trying to change the culture.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, if you don't like a place, leave. Because there's places that already have the culture that you like, and it sucks that you even had to go through that, where you're exerting things outside of your like job responsibilities
Yeah.
to try to change the culture.
Yeah.
In a place. Like that's not easy to do.
It wasn't easy to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, this is like where I'm at right now. So like I feel like before I jump ship, let me like exhaust all options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like I just kept hitting a brick wall, and like every single day I had to just find myself trying to like do different things or just like be super intentional about, okay, I'm going to work today. Like, I know I have to be happy. Like, I know like people are going to try to be rude to me or they're going to just project their energy onto me. And like, I have to literally fight that back. Like, I remember just going to like church and like Bible class and just like hearing different sermons, and I'm like, okay, I could take this with me. This will help my days and stuff like that. And it's like, it would help one day, and then like the next day it's like this environment is literally draining me, and it's like it just, I don't know how to explain it. Like it just wasn't it wasn't.
So it was like not filling your cup, but also draining you.
Exactly. It was like draining. It was literally just sucking up all the juices.
And then you can't focus on anything else because that has you so exhausted.
Exactly. And I feel like I started to realize that, and I just started feeling suffocated or just feeling really limited.
Yeah.
And I don't like feeling limited. I feel like I'm a person, I think I could do anything, but when I start getting to a place where like I feel like I'm in a box, like I can't be suffocated. Like,
yes, I feel that way too.
You know, like it just doesn't work. So as I'm going through that and as I'm struggling with that, I just really started, like it was a certain season at first where I was like not bitter, but like I could feel my heart hardening. Like I could feel myself like not being the person that I knew I was.
That's like a bad relationship.
Exactly, and I wasn't trying to be in one of them. And I feel like, yeah, I just felt my heart like really hardening. Like I'm going into the office, people are being rude, and I'm being rude back. Like that's not me. Or like I'm being rude like before someone even gets a chance to be rude, because like I know our history. Like I know you're usually a rude person, so it's like, okay, I have energy today. Like I'm ready for you. Like what's up? What's up? And I feel like that's not who I am now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I feel like. So feeling like I'm getting back to a space that I've like worked hard to get from, like it was doing a lot to like my mental.
Yeah.
Like I worked hard to not be a mean person. You know what I mean? Or not even to not be a mean person, but to not have an attitude or to not react quickly. So it's like being in that space. It wasn't doing the trick.
And you were not in the space to create, because you've talked about this podcast for 3 years.
Yeah.
But you weren't really able to work on it at all because you were so drained. It seems like.
Yeah, it was so many things going on in life.
Yeah.
But I feel like specifically now is probably like the most perfect time, which like I'm grateful for, to like actually do it. And I don't think that without that experience of like being upset, I would even have, like I believe that I was going to get here eventually, but I do believe that there's a time and a place, and like there's certain seasons, and I feel like it's very important to not miss your window.
Right.
Like, I love the L word. I love the L word.
Love?
That too.
What's the L word?
Like.
Oh, like. It's okay. You didn't want to miss like your window.
There you go.
Of it.
Yes. So I think I see posts, or people are always saying, and you might think differently actually, people are always saying how what's for me cannot miss me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think otherwise. I'm sorry, y'all. This is gonna cause a little controversy. But
no.
So I'll say this. I feel like something can be for you, but if you're not positioned in the right spot, and you haven't done the work that is required to get there,
yes,
it can miss you. Like,
I agree too, to be honest. Like, you have to be working, you have to be ready. And we want things that we're truly not ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're frustrated, and then we're like upset, and then we're not working on it to be in a better position.
Yeah.
So I agree. Like, there's like that interview where Lauren London's like, I just don't want to miss my mark, which is like, I just don't want to miss my mark.
You just don't want to miss your mark. And it's like, it's easy to say, like, hey, if something's for me, it's not going to miss me, but you got to really think about it. Like, if you have not done the work as an individual, if you're not that person that you're supposed to be to do a certain task, then it certainly can't miss you because you're not in position.
I think last year, or maybe 2 years ago, I literally had it at the top of my planner, my digital planner, so I would see it every day.
Yeah.
Like God find you working, Scarlett. Like, I'm talking to myself, like God find you working.
Yeah.
So that I don't, miss my mark.
So you don't miss your mark. And I feel like now being here, I don't think that if I didn't experience certain things, that I would have gotten here at this exact time. Because I feel like as I was frustrated, like I kept feeling like I was suffocating, like I would go home. And at that time, I was doing the things such as, I had certain vices.
Okay.
Coping mechanisms? Yeah, I had certain coping mechanisms, like smoking weed, and I felt voids, and I feel my voids in other places. Yeah. And as I was doing, it was one side I was doing that, and then there's another side where I'm just like, I can't live like this. Yeah. And I need to be in God's will. Mm-hmm. Like, I absolutely have to find myself in God's will. So as like I'm going through all that stuff, I'm like, okay, you know what, Kennedy? You're going to church on Sunday, you're going to Bible class, you're paying your tithes, you're doing the things you're supposed to do. I said, but it's time to go deeper and to really like seek God. And I kept hearing certain people tell me certain words. Yeah. And they're like, seek God's heart. Like, you need to seek God's heart. Like, you're going to be successful. Like, don't worry about being a failure. Like, that's not the life God has for you. But you need to seek His heart if you really want to like live in His will. Yeah. So I feel like as I started doing that, as I started fasting, like, getting into my word more, I feel like I started hearing God tell me certain things. Yeah. But it's funny. Like, now that I'm saying it out loud, it's really funny because it's so many different parts. But I'll hit on this first. God knows our weaknesses. Like, for sure. He knows them.
And not surprise Him.
It don't. It surprised me still sometimes.
Like that post you sent me, nothing occurs to God.
Yeah, nothing occurs to Him. Nothing like happens to Him. Yeah. He knew.
He knew that.
He knew. And I feel like since God knows my weaknesses, those are going to be like the pressure points that He's like, oh, I'm going to drop that. You say you have faith in me.
He can have you working on it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like that's what the season of frustration kind of did, or kind of revealed to me.
Had you working on your weaknesses?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Had me working on my weaknesses. I feel like they were revealed. Like, there's certain things that I've known for a while now, but I feel like it really forced me to be like, okay, Kennedy, you need to go on a fast. Yeah. You need to say no to these things. You need to say no to those things, and you need to really be
look at yourself.
Yeah. You need to look deep.
Yes.
And I feel like as He was revealing Himself to me and speaking to me, it was certain pressure points that He knows that I'm kind of like, I hear you, God, but I'm gonna just keep looking. I'm gonna keep looking the other way. Yeah. And I feel like the biggest one is like money, and like not having stability. Just like, from my past, being homeless at one point, it's like that is like something that is like, I'm still working on it now. Yeah. But it's something that I'm still working on, like not letting that be like, my mom told me your fear cannot be your biggest motivator.
Right. And it just won't work.
It just doesn't work. And I feel like as God, like, I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. Like, I'm like, as I started to feel like He didn't want me where I was at anymore, career-wise, I'm like, okay, God, but if I don't do that, like, what am I going to do right now? And then I started kind of getting down on myself because
of that, like, financial insecurity weakness. I don't want to call it a weakness because I feel like your experience
is my experience.
Right. And I feel like that's where therapy and faith kind of intertwines.
Yeah.
Because that's something I've talked to my therapist about. Similar situation, like a fear of not having money.
Yeah.
Or a fear of being...
just not having resources.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A fear of a lack.
Yeah, there you go. Fear of lack.
And so then I'm like, there's practical things to it, and there's also like, well, I know God doesn't want me to, like...
Yeah.
That's not even
that's not in his will. Like,
No.
he doesn't want us worried about certain things. And I feel like as I was getting into that and, like, I guess coming that out or whatever, however we're gonna say it,
Yeah.
God was like just telling me certain things. I'm just like, okay, but if I don't do that, then what? And then, like I said, I was starting to get down on myself. There it is. I was starting to get down on myself because, yes, I used to be, you know, the network marketing, one of the network marketing girlies. And I was like thriving. Like, I was doing so good. Like, I was had the most money that I've ever had, traveling the most. Like, I was honestly the most disciplined. Like, Lo was reminding me the other day, like, she's like, Kennedy, like, you know you need your schedule, you know you need structure, like, get back to that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But, like, in that, I'm like, okay, like, I was doing that, and I took a break from school to focus on that full time. And, like, as I took a break from school to do that full time, I took a break from school, and I was just doing that.
You went all in on that.
I went all in, and I didn't get to where I wanted to be. Like, you know, I wanted to hit chairwoman.
Yeah.
Off the record, off the record, for the record, whatever. I was 7 people away from hitting chairwoman. Like, I was 7 people away from making 6 figures. And, like, in knowing that, and, like, being so close to something like that, like, it was like, okay, like, I was trying everything at that point, too. You already know, like, I was trying everything. I was trying to market myself in multiple different ways, like, whatever to obtain what it is that I was trying to obtain.
Right.
And since that didn't work out, I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a degree to fall back on. I'm like, God, I thought I was supposed to be doing one thing at one point in my life, but it didn't turn out how I wanted it to be. So I'm like, if you want me to move a certain way, like, you're going to have to be, I'm going to need the plan to be, I'm going to need to be sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like God knew that, since it was still kind of fresh for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just feel like God knows that, like, that's a thing, like, my fear of lacking is, like, a big thing. So I just started to, like, down myself. I'm like, well, I don't have a degree yet. I'm like, so it's not like I can just go into my field or, like, you know, get my foot wet in that area. I'm like, I don't know. I was just starting to feel like I didn't have many options. And I'm like,
that's such a dark place to be.
It's such a dark place to be. And I feel like when you're in a dark place like that, it's very important to have the right people in your ear.
Yes.
I remember having a conversation that, this is my podcast, it pissed me off. And I remember talking to this person.
Okay.
And he was just like, well, this pissed me off so bad, because I was already in a bad place, and I already had worked hard to not be in that place.
Yeah. And
I feel like he was just trying to bring me back there, and it's like, God already took me from there. But anyway, it pissed me off because he was just like, well, if you had got a degree in psychology like you planned, you wouldn't be having these frustrations at work. Like, you'll be in your field, you'll be doing all these things that you wanted to do. And I'm just like, first of all, that's like farthest. I'm not gonna say that's far from being true, because I feel like I'm where I'm at because I've listened to God up to here.
Right.
So,
I mean, and also, you're already, in a low spot. You can't go back and change what you did. You did the best that you could with the information you had at the time.
Yeah. Like,
you can't be wrong for that.
Exactly. And I feel like...
And you learned so much in doing so.
I did, which is, like, something I had to realize for myself as I was grieving, you know, like, my past opportunities, I guess, or past, you know, things that I've done. I'm like, I've worked hard to get to a place to understand that, okay, like, I do believe that I was following God, but I feel like God always wants you to, like, hold his hand no matter what. Like, I've been telling myself that I'm, like, invested, but I'm not attached. And I feel like that's just, at this point, that's, like, God's thing with me, I feel like.
And
like,
you were invested or you were attached to something?
I feel like in the past, I was both.
Yeah.
I feel like I was invested, but I was like very much so attached.
Yeah.
Like even network marketing, I mean, just being honest, like I was very much so like I was attached to that. Like it was like not my personality, but I feel like the success that I had gained and like all the accolades that I had gained up until that point was like a part of like not my personality, but like who I was. And I didn't realize like I'm not those things. Those things are great. They don't, right.
Those things don't make you worthy.
Like exactly.
They don't deem you worthy.
Exactly. It's like I'm worthy outside of that. Those just add to. Those just add. I did those things because I am a good person. You know what I mean? Because I do bear the fruits. You know what I mean? So it's like whatever. So I feel like that conversation had irritated me, and it was just like made me realize like I'm a very vulnerable person. Like I don't really.
Yeah, you are very vulnerable.
Like I don't care. I'm a Cancer to the core. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it made me realize that you have to be careful who's in your ear during like dark seasons, low points. Like you have to be careful of who's in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like even as I was having certain conversations with friends, they're just like, Kennedy, like you have to leave that job. Like God doesn't want you unhappy. He doesn't want you upset. He doesn't want you triggered. And I'm like, and I know my friends are coming from a good place. Like I literally love all my friends, like wholeheartedly. Like I just really kind of good bash. Like I love you guys so much. But
we're so lucky.
Yes, I'm blessed. But it's like you have to figure out who to share things with. And I feel like certain things my friends were saying out of a good place, but it's like you're saying something out of a good place, but if it doesn't align with what God wants, it's like
you have to take that and judge that against what you feel that God has told you. You know?
Yeah. And it was just kind of getting I guess it was annoying, frustrating, and just irritating.
Job?
Yeah, a little bit, only because I was like, that's so easy to say. And like I used to be real pro, quit the job, pro. But I feel like as I like dive in deeper into the word and getting to know God, it's like I want to be obedient before anything. Like I don't want to move without God giving me the say so, without God signing off on it. And I'm like, quitting would be ideal. Like yeah.
So you didn't know if God wanted you to stick it out or quit?
Yeah. And I just figured exactly. I didn't know if he wanted me to stick it out or if he wanted me to be like, yeah, it's time for you to go. Because I do believe that God, if he wants to get your attention, that's what he's gonna do. Like I don't think there's like many limits. Like I don't think God will harm you. Like I know God won't do anything to harm you. But will he put you in seasons to show you that he can show up? Yes. Like the thing I showed you this morning.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. It's like, okay, like, God got to show you that. God can't show you that he's a miracle worker if he doesn't put you in a position to need a miracle.
Yeah.
That was part of my devotion this morning.
Yes.
I said, you want something?
He's going to show up and, like, you're going to be okay. You don't feel like it at the time, but you are. And he's going to show you why, like, you should hold fast to being attached to him, not these other things that we, like, seek.
Yeah. And exactly. And I feel like as I was just seeking him, just certain things just started to become very, very obvious. Like at first, like I wasn't sure if he wanted me to quit or not or stick it out. And like now he did want me to stick it out for
as long as you did, I would say.
Yeah, he didn't want me there any longer because it wasn't gonna be good for anybody. We not productive.
Yeah. So this is you being obedient right now.
Yeah, this is obedience, but like. So yeah, and I feel like I don't know. It was just like a lot of weird things or whatever. And yeah, yeah, that's crazy actually. In that I was realizing that like I did have faith.
Yeah.
but like that's a soft spot. Like there's certain spots that are soft for me. Like
it's good that you know that, like, awareness, which I feel like therapy helps us be aware of those things so that you can manage it, you know? Because I feel like it going away or just like trying to get rid of it, you're probably always going to have a form of it. So it's just learning to manage it. You know that's your soft spot.
working with it.
Right.
Like, yeah, exactly. And I guess,
Checking yourself about it.
yeah, and not letting it like lead me.
Yeah, like what's the truth about that statement, you know?
Yeah.
Or that fear.
I don't know. I never thought about it that way. Like,
Yeah.
what's the truth about that?
Yes, like, okay, we worry about a lack of like financial stability in our future. There's like, what is the truth behind that, you know?
Oh, right. Like, what makes that statement true? Like, what makes you feel like, okay, that is always going to be a thing?
Right. When, if you look at what you're doing, like your projection, that is not true, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not going to be the case.
Yeah. And God never said that either.
That's what I'm saying. He never said
He
that.
never said that. God's like, I never even said that.
He never said that.
Never said that. He's like, I put you in that situation for something else, not for you to be scared forever.
Right. Imagine being scared forever of that. Like, that is how you miss your mark, you know? So.
That is, yeah, so, yeah, you know, so we just rocking out. We rocking out, doing the good work, doing the Lord's good work and whatnot, then, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that, honestly, I think that was like the biggest thing was like just wanting to, I guess that was a fear too, now that I think about it. Well, would you call it a fear? I don't know, I just didn't want to be out of God's, I didn't want to not be in God's will. Like, I feel like I really, like, that was something I was scared of. I was scared of doing something that he was like, I didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah, I get that fear, and I've felt like that before, but I feel like that's when you gotta focus on, like, just doing the thing versus thinking about it and worrying about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not telling you to worry about it. Either, you know, figure it out at work or leave, you know, or start the new venture that you want to focus on. Like, just do the thing. Don't worry about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I need to work on just doing certain things. I don't think I'm a perfectionist because I know that perfect is not something I can obtain. So I don't even focus on trying to be perfect. I can't do that. I can't be that.
Right.
I'm not trying to be. That's not a goal. But I do think that certain things that I want to do are like, I want them a certain way, or like, either it's like, on one hand, it's like I want them a certain way, and then it's like I don't want God to be like, this. I think I said it before. I feel like it's a difference between you going on a path and it's like a little turbulence, or not turbulence, I guess if you're walking on a path, right?
Road bumps.
Yeah, it's a little road bumps. It's a little rocks on the street.
Yes.
It's a little glass. I feel like I'm okay with going that path
If God told you to do
if
it.
God told me to do that versus going down another path and it's rocks, it's people on the side of the road trying to,
Yes.
you know, and it's,
And I feel like the difference is like, well, did God tell you to do that?
yeah.
Did he even bless this from the start of like you going down this path, this relationship, this like opportunity? Did he show up at all, or was this like your own like personal, like us thinking about it with God not in the room, you know?
Yeah, thinking about it with God not in the room, and I feel like I'm very, God is my source, God is my center.
Yeah.
So I feel like a part of me is like, a part of me wants God to always bless what I'm doing, and then a part of me is like, okay, Kennedy, you can't use that as like a fear type of thing.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't let that like paralyze you and not, you not do it because you don't know.
Exactly. And I think that that was starting to be like something that like I was realizing. I'm like, okay, Kennedy, you can't use this as a fear thing, as a tool to be fearful.
Yeah.
And then also in the same breath want to use this as something that can like guide you along the way.
Right.
So that's funny you say that, because.
But like the cool thing is, if you go down the path and there's road bumps, you're stepping on glass, and God did not tell you to go that way, you can turn around. Like, okay, just pivot, do something else.
Because it was some roads I was going down. I said, ooh, I did get down far.
And it'll be a long road back, but you can always go back.
Yeah, you can always go back. Because I feel like I'm not going to get too much into it on this episode. Mm-hmm. But there were definitely some roads that I like look back on. And I'm like, I was like deep in those cycles.
But it's like so easy to be so deep in those cycles. Like,
yeah.
I don't blame you or anybody because it's not easy.
It's not easy. And it's really easy to get deep into cycles, especially when it's comfortable.
Exactly.
And I feel like a lot of things that are our vices or our voids, like they're like the easy way, and
they make you feel better.
Yeah. Real quick. I mean the highs are high, the lows are low. Baby, those come downs from certain decisions are just
yes.
Goodness gracious.
Like an emotional hangover.
Yeah, like a therapy hangover.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that one day too.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna tell y'all real quick. What a therapy hangover. Should we tell them?
Yes.
We can tell them. You can tell them.
A therapy hangover is like when you have a very high emotion session and you just get off the call and you're just like staring at the wall and you just feel blank and you have to like come down off of that a little bit. Like that was tough.
That was a lot.
And you're just blank in a blank state for like.
And that's where Therapy Fridays comes into play.
Because we'd be like, oh, how was therapy? I got a therapy hangover.
I got a therapy hangover. We gotta talk about this.
It was too emotional.
It was too much. She was coming in my neck.
Yes.
And we was really starting.
It was a little too clarifying.
Yeah. I see a little too clearly.
Yeah.
I liked it better a little jaded.
Exactly.
I liked it a little more.
Which is why we weren't able to unpack it until the next day. Like we had to wait.
I'm sorry, that's so funny. But yeah, exactly, because we wasn't gonna get to the bottom of nothing on that first day.
No.
I don't even know how they got to the bottom of something.
I didn't even want to talk about it anymore.
And I said that stings a little bit too much. We're gonna hang that on up.
Right, like okay, back up.
Now, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, like, or just make sure that you touch on that you experienced, like, in you seeking, I guess, obedience from God, or just, having your seasons of frustration?
Just that I really relate to that, to all of it, to having seasons where I'm worried about not being obedient, which is actually all the time, and having seasons of frustration. But I feel like it's important to normalize that. Like, sometimes I'm frustrated, I'm worried if I'm not doing what God wants me to be doing. I'm writing in my journal, like, please, like, God, is this you? Are you in on this? Like, show me. And also just keeping your ear and your heart, like, either open or closed to certain people.
Yeah. That's so important.
So, like, that could be detrimental.
Yeah.
And it has been in the past. So, I just really relate to all that. And I feel like that's so important to talk about, especially like on this podcast. Like I really like that being the theme of this podcast, because I feel like people just don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Like we talk about if we're frustrated, just like in a conversation with friends, for example. Okay, we're frustrated, like, I'm so annoyed, but we're not talking about like, okay, the God portion of it,
Like what is it showing you?
Yeah, exactly.
What does this mean?
Right, like a lot of times you're just complaining, which is okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I just think it being unpacked is what's important, and just being okay with that.
Yeah, and just to touch on that real quick, you said two things, but I think one of the biggest things is definitely making like you want your eyes, ears, you want them open, but I feel like to God, when you're like in seasons where you're not sure.
You're like the most vulnerable.
Exactly. So it's like you need to make sure you're having conversations with people who like know God's heart and like know your heart. Because everyone just does not have your best. Everyone doesn't have your best interest, or everybody doesn't know God in the way that you know Him. So to you, something may seem like, okay, well, I just need to trust God, and for someone else, it may just seem like, well, that may be a little too irrational, or that you know what I mean. So I think that that's important too, and also just digging deeper when it comes to being frustrated, happy. Like, I think all emotions need to be like looked at with a magnifying glass.
What's it telling you?
Exactly.
That's
and I feel like that was a big thing. I'm like, okay, Kennedy, what is this frustration really telling you? And that's when I started seeking. So I feel like on one hand, the frustration was like had me feeling a little paralyzed, but that's why it's important to not get over things and to go through things, because if
it's like the only way.
It's the only way. Because if I come back. Exactly, because it's like if I just got over this thing, like you said, I would have came right back. Yep. But since I got through it, I learned that okay, like I'm upset and I'm feeling limited, but I can't stop here. And now that's how like I realized like, okay, I need to be obedient, or I need to like lean my ear to somewhere else. And like, yeah, the frustration had led me to a place of seeking and to like dig into God a little bit more. So that's really how we got here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just think it's important to, like Scarlett said, to just make sure you are aware of like who's in your ear,
or like when you are feeling frustrated or feeling a certain emotion that is a little bit negative, like what's the worst outcome, like what's the worst thing that could happen? My therapist always says that, and I'm like, well, and then I say something that's kind of irrational, and it's like, okay, like do you hear yourself, like work through that. So that's important too, I feel like.
Yeah.
So if you're frustrated, what is the worst thing that could happen?
What's the worst thing?
And if the worst thing happens, okay, then what?
Then what? You work through it. You thug it out.
Yeah.
Glennon said we could do hard things.
We could have a whole interview, whole episode on that.
Glennon, get on here.
Yes. Glennon Doyle.
Glennon Doyle, we're calling you out. You've been summoned.
Yes.
You've been summoned. But yeah, so I feel like we can do hard things, and I feel like that's something that like I find myself telling myself like often, like maybe we can do hard things.
We say it all the time, like it's okay, we can do hard things.
It don't matter what anybody say to me. We can do hard things. Lord,
we can do hard things.
We can do hard things. Getting up here today was hard. We can do hard things.
Yes.
So yeah. So I'm gonna conclude this episode, and they can really catch us next time. And I'm gonna have you back for when we talk about relationships. Cause
I'm happy to chat.
Yeah.
And unpack.
Yeah,
that is another episode.
That's another episode, and that we really gonna get to the nitty gritty with that one, cause they need to know. They need to know. But I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, I could not do my first episode without you here. You're the co-founder.
Oh, thank you.
She's the co-founder.
I'm happy to support and just. I'm so proud of you for even doing this.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you too. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me unpack and just showing them what Therapy Fridays has looked like for me, and like even what Therapy Fridays has been to me. Like you've been such a great help on my journey. You've been such an inspiration. Like I feel like it's kind of not cliche, but I feel like all my friends inspire me, but I feel like you've probably been one of the people that have inspired me like the deepest.
Oh, thank you.
No, yeah, like to really like look at myself for who I am and to just like keep digging into that and like live in that unapologetically, because I feel like that I'm a sensitive person, and like you really helped me realize that that's a superpower for me. So
yeah,
thank you for being on this journey, and just being the first guest on the podcast. I really appreciate it. So
I like just really appreciate you for holding me to like that same standard. Like I could say everything you just said too.
Yeah.
So sorry, I just love that.
Yeah. I just love that. So, yes, guys. So, this is the first episode. I'm so excited it's out the way. And then I can share this with you guys. So, stay tuned for the next episode. I appreciate you guys for being here this long and staying with us as we journey through our conversation. So, love you guys. See you soon.